On today's video, we're going to go over these Yellowbird Model 100 8-inch planer boards. Hey there, outdoor YouTubers. Well, like I said earlier, today's video is about these Yellowbird Model 100 8-inch planer boards. I picked up two of these planer boards a little over a year ago, and they really work out just fantastic for the fishing that I do. The first thing that I really love about these Model 100 Yellowbird planer boards is the size. That 8-inch size. To me, I consider this to be a medium-sized planer board. For about 25 years, I've been using these offshore planer boards, and you can see the actual size I have is a little bit bigger than these Yellowbirds, and this size planer board was a little bit bigger than what I needed. Now, I didn't want to go all the way down to a mini planer board because there is some limitations to these mini planer boards. If you're pulling some kind of rig that has quite a bit of drag on it, you just don't have the surface area on this mini planer board to keep it out and away from the boat. If you have quite a bit of drag behind these mini planer boards, they slowly close in and they don't really plane out like they should. So why did I want this medium-sized Yellowbird planer board? First of all, it's plenty big enough to pull any of the rigs that I like to use for fishing. It's got enough surface area to get the lures and baits that I use with it out and away from the boat. Now, I know a lot of you guys really like to use, trolling, bait casting gear when you're using planer boards. The line counter reels, that stuff does work fantastic when you're fishing with planer boards. But me personally, I fish planer boards with spinning gear a lot. And a lot of the spinning gear that I use really can handle a board this size. Now, I do own a lot of trolling rods, right? The baitcaster rods. I do own a handful of line counter reels. So why don't I use them? Well, there's two reasons that I like to use spinning gear with my planer boards. One is I like to have the flexibility with the rods that I bring out in the boat for any one given day of fishing. And what I mean by that is I may start the day off with every intention of just trolling with planer boards. But sometimes things change. Later on the fishing trip, I might wind up casting a shoreline for bass. I might wind up jigging for walleyes. Oftentimes I might have my wife or some of my kids in the boat with me, so I'm kind of providing the rods for them to use. And I don't have a real big boat, so I don't have a whole lot of rod storage. Now, if I take up 3/4 of my rod storage with 4 or 6 line counter trolling rods, that doesn't leave me a lot of space for other stuff if we want to switch it up throughout the day. Using a medium-sized board like this one allows me to have more of that spinning gear in the boat. And another reason that I like to use spinning gear when I'm fishing with planer boards is I don't like how slow and how much time it takes for you to let out crankbaits with line counter reels. With spinning gear, I get that fish off the lure or that weed off the lure, and I can actually cast that lure back out, clip the planer board on, and I'm back in business. I know a lot of you guys out there are saying, hey, you need that line counter reel so you can keep track of how much line you're letting out, and that dictates how deep or how shallow that crankbait's going to run. But I do have kind of a way that I keep track of how much line is out even when I'm using spinning gear, and I won't get into it in this video. I did do a couple other videos. One is trolling for walleyes, and I talk about using the spinning gear with planer boards, and another one is just using planer boards, and I did talk about the spinning gear a little bit in that. So if you want some more details on kind of why I really prefer spinning gear a lot of times when I'm using planer boards, I'll leave a link to those two videos. You can check those out. Now, another thing that I like about these Yellowbird Model 100 planer boards is the flotation that's inside the board is fully enclosed with this plastic. My old offshore planer boards, that flotation, that styrofoam on the back was kind of open and exposed. I never lost any of this styrofoam, but I had heard of other people where they would lose the styrofoam out of the planer board. So I really do like that these Yellowbirds are fully enclosed and that styrofoam is tucked away and nice and secure. Another pretty cool thing about the Yellowbirds is the weight on the bottom is actually adjustable. You can kind of move it to wherever you desire, and of course that'll kind of dictate how this board rides in the water. So some guys really have a preference of how they like it to ride in the water. With these Yellowbird Model 100s, you can achieve that by adjusting that weight. Now, one of my real favorite parts of these Yellowbird planer boards are the snap releases. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to take a quick time out with a word from my one and only sponsor, Camaro's Crawlers. Okay, my buddy Ronnie Camaro, the owner of Camaro's Crawlers, he just got back from the Hodag Country Music Festival down in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. And he dropped off this piece of paper and he wanted me to share a few things with you guys. Alright, Ronnie Camaro wanted me to remind you guys that Camaro's Crawlers is still offering Bait Dash services. Now, Bait Dash is kind of like what DoorDash is to restaurants, but with Bait Dash, Ronnie Camaro will deliver the bait to you. Whether you need some extra bait at the boat landing, or whether you're in the backwoods, or you just want that bait delivered right to your house, Bait Dash services from Camaro's Crawlers will get the bait to you. In fact, just the other day, I used Bait Dash services. I was out doing some brook trout fishing out in the backwoods, and I ran out of crawlers, so I just gave Ronnie a call, and in no time, he delivered the crawlers right to me. Hey Ronnie, got the crawlers?
All right, there you go, man. Keep the change. Hey, did you just get back from Hodag Fest or something? All right, good man.
And Ronnie brought me back one of these cool Hodag masks from the Hodag Fest. So, appreciate that. And also, Ronnie wanted me to remind you guys that he is fully stocked with grasshoppers. Ronnie has even commissioned my wife to collect all the grasshoppers out of our pool so he can be sure to meet the grasshopper needs of his customers. And also, if you stop in at Camaro's Crawlers, be sure to check out Ronnie Camaro's full lineup of used crankbaits, spinners, spoons, and soft plastics. For all your fishing needs, Camaro's Crawlers has you covered. That's pretty awesome, all that cool stuff that Ronnie's got going on down at the bait shop. But back to the Yellowbird planer board. This front snap release has a nice big pad on it, and when you put the line across it and then you clamp it down, it really clamps down like a set of vice grips. And the pad itself is recessed down a little bit, and there's sort of grooves where the line goes, so that line can really not come out of that release once it's clamped down. And the back snap release is the same thing, just in a smaller version. I have not even come close to having one of these planer boards inadvertently come off the line. I have not even had these planer boards slide back on the line. I've had no issues with these really nice snap releases. Now, these Yellowbird Model 100 planer boards do come with the tattle flag option standard right out of the package. It's not something that you have to buy extra. You know, that's where if you get a little bit extra pressure or pull off the back of the planer board, the flag kind of comes back to let you know that you have a fish, and or maybe you picked up a weed or some kind of debris. Me personally, I don't utilize the tattle flag option. Now, I know a lot of you guys and gals out there swear by that tattle flag option, and I do understand the benefits of it, but to me it really does seem tedious to get that spring tension matched up just perfect So any little extra pull will pull back on that flag. As far as it telling you, that you're getting some light bites, I don't know. I don't know what you guys do. If you see the flag go back like a little bit, do you try to set the hook? I'm really not sure, I guess me personally, a lot of times I would just kind of let it go until they really committed to it, and then you're probably going to see an obvious motion on the planer board anyways. Even the idea that tattle flag will let you know if you pick up a small weed or piece of debris doesn't really work that well for me either. Oftentimes when I'm fishing, I'm adjusting speed slightly, faster, slower, so that's going to put more or less pressure on that rig or lure behind the planer board. If there's any chop on the water, the planer board might be surging and falling back slightly, changing the pressure that's applied to that rig behind it. And I'm also doing a lot of contour trolling, a lot of tight corners, and of course that's surging and pulling and slowing down on the board too. So again, the idea of matching up that spring pressure just perfectly so any little bit of weed will show up on that tattle flag, it really just doesn't work for me. Now, I don't use the tattle flag option, but even when I did, I still found myself just having to reel in and really kind of check the lines and confirm that they didn't pick anything up. I don't know, you guys tell me. Am I being foolish by not utilizing this tattle flag option? Or are some of you guys out there kind of like me where, yeah, maybe it sort of works sometimes, but it's a lot of hassle to get it set up just perfect, and maybe the benefits of what it tells you aren't really all that great. Anyways, leave some comments below. Tell me if you guys utilize the tattle flag or not. I've caught quite a few different species of fish on these yellowbird planer boards. Walleye, pike, bass, bluegills, perch, and even some rainbows. And I've really been happy with the performance of them with all those species. So, the yellowbird 8-inch planer board. They're small enough to use with medium-sized spinning gear, but they're not too small, so you don't run into some of those limitations that mini planer boards have. And these snap releases that come standard on the yellowbirds are just fantastic. They attach to your line like a set of vice grips, but when you want the board off, the release levers are very easy to manipulate. These yellowbirds do come standard with the tattle flag option. Again, I don't use it, but leave some comments below and tell me how you feel about that. So, if you're in the market for a planer board or two, I hope this video helps you out. And also guys, if you want to check out a lot more useful fishing information, or you just want to check out some of the fishing adventures that my crew and I go on, be sure to give the entire channel a visit. And also remember to hunt, fish, laugh, repeat. Thanks for watching, and God bless.